Well, let's begin. The basic first step: accept that truth does exist. Why do we say that? So many people today question whether truth exists. But we need to remember that there are fundamental truths that cannot be altered by personal opinion. Well, what do we mean by this? Well, let's go back to our previous example about the earth revolving around the sun. Regardless of what other people think or say, it doesn't matter what they say, because the fundamental truth is it exists at the very core of reality, the earth moving around the sun. Well, in a similar way, there are fundamental truths regarding God and worship too. God does exist. The star formation, the power of the sun, diversity of life, photosynthesis, a single cell, DNA. Now, if we take the time to contemplate the complexity and intricacy of design found in nature, the logical conclusion is that there must be an intelligent mind behind all of this. Our power of reason leads us to such a conclusion. For example, a professor of philosophy, Anthony Flew, was at one time a leading advocate of atheism for some 50 years. However, after a study of DNA and the staggering complexity of life, Flew changed his opinion. Citing an ancient approach to reasoning, he wrote, "We must follow the argument wherever it leads." For Professor Flew, the evidence pointed to the existence of a creator.
Wow. Okay. So now what's happening is Mark Noumair is cherry-picking an example of somebody who switched from atheism to a belief in God. I'm going to go into that in a bit more detail later because it's way more complex than Mark Noumair would have you believe. But quite frankly, how dare Mark Noumair present Jehovah's Witnesses as being all about science and all about the scientific method and accepting truth and reality, accepting the evidence wherever it leads. That is absolutely not what being a Jehovah's Witness is about. Being a Jehovah's Witness is about surrendering your critical thinking skills, surrendering your personal autonomy, and just allowing a leadership in upstate New York, in America, to dictate for you what your opinions are and what your beliefs are. That's not following the evidence wherever it leads. That's just yielding to an authority. But it's incredibly disingenuous of Mark Noumair to again cherry-pick this name of this philosopher, of this academic. You know, a sample size of one, apparently, is enough for Mark Noumair. He's not going to acknowledge the plethora of other atheists, or the plethora of other philosophers, I should say, who are persuaded towards atheism. He just wants a cute story that's going to prop up his argument. And let's just remember, Anthony Flew was a philosopher. And Jehovah's Witnesses are very much against what they call human philosophy, or the philosophies and empty deceptions of men. In fact, just this month, when they backtracked against their position on higher education and said that it was now okay for Jehovah's Witnesses to pursue higher education, they specifically cited philosophy as one of the things that Jehovah's Witnesses should still be wary of.
Another important safeguard is to protect your thinking abilities. Some courses might expose you to philosophy and empty deception, including atheism and evolution.
So this is an organization that is very much against philosophy and people becoming philosophers, and yet when it's convenient for them, they'll cite the name of a dead philosopher because he once had a change of heart that could be roughly considered to be broadly in line with what their beliefs are. When you actually look at Antony Flew, because you do hear this name repeatedly cited by apologists for Christianity, it's interesting when you go on the Wikipedia page. So Flew died in 2010, and he changed his position from atheism in 2004. It says on Wikipedia, however, in 2004, he changed his position and stated that he now believed in the existence of an intelligent designer of the universe, shocking colleagues and fellow atheists. In order to further clarify his personal conception of God, Flew openly made an allegiance to deism, more specifically a belief in the Aristotelian God, a divine watchmaker removed from human affairs but responsible for the intricate workings of the universe, and dismissed on many occasions a hypothetical conversion to Christianity, Islam, or any other religion. So let's go where the evidence takes us, shall we, Mark Noumair? Since you've name-dropped this guy who apparently supports your position, and since his opinion is apparently an opinion that we should be factoring in, what do we make of this? The fact that he renounced religion, he renounced Christianity, Islam, or any other religion, and his personal belief was actually relatively close to mine. I mean, I'm on the fence at this current time as to whether I believe in atheism or some form of deism. I'm open, through my own spiritual journey, I'm open to there being some kind of higher power, but that doesn't get you to Jehovah God, Bible, Jesus, governing body, faithful slave. It gets you nowhere close. And Antony Flew apparently went to great pains to clarify that he was not supportive of Christianity, which is what Mark Noumair is suggesting was his position. That is super shady, ladies and gentlemen. That is very, very disingenuous for Mark Noumair to cherry-pick this name but then misrepresent. I mean, he's dead now, so he can't speak otherwise, can he? But to cherry-pick this name and to suggest that the dead guy behind it was in any way supportive of the Jehovah's Witness theology is just downright deceptive, disingenuous, and manipulative.